and even gave the dog some food to eat. Now, my bedroom window is I haven't seen that old lady ever again. This happened amidst the 2020 lockdown. I used to work in a publishing house as a graphic designer, and my office instructed most of the employees to start working from home. I live alone in a small house. The place I live in is known for its quiet and safe environment. At least that's what I used to think. It was a hot summer night. I was going through tremendous work pressure. It was a tight deadline. My house has a moderately sized living room with an open kitchen area. My bedroom is upstairs, and there's a guest bedroom beside it, which I actually turned into my workplace. My boyfriend and I planned to move in together, hence we rented this house. But before we could officially move in there, the coronavirus outbreak took place, and I was compelled to live alone in that house. Beside my house there was another house. A middle-aged married couple lived in it. They were always fighting and arguing though. I could hear the woman scream at her husband every night. Even though pretty much everyone was annoyed with this family, no one ever dared to confront them. I was just hoping everyone wanted to stay out of the fights just like me, but avoiding trouble is obviously not the way to solve it. It was a Saturday night, and I was talking to my boyfriend sitting in my living room. We were obviously upset about not being able to see each other. The weather outside was cloudy in the afternoon, and a thunderstorm was going on outside now. I was pretty surprised to see how awfully quiet the neighboring couple was. I mean, usually they start yelling at each other in the afternoon, but that day there was pin-drop silence. I finished the call with my boyfriend, and then went to the kitchen to prepare dinner. Though within 5 minutes the rain picked up, and it started to get really heavy. This sudden strike of lightning spooked me a bit. I was chopping vegetables, and the power even went out. Alone in a new house amidst a thunderstorm was enough to unsettle my mind, and now with the power cut, I was pretty disturbed if I'm being honest. I lit up a candle, and started to search for more just when I heard a knock on my door. I was thinking whether I should open the door or not, just when another huge lightning struck nearby, almost making my ears numb. I walked close to the door, and said in a hesitated voice, "Who is it?" No one replied, but again I heard the knocks. I said in a loud voice, "Who are you?" The man replied in a panicked voice, Ma'am, I live next door. My wife is not feeling well. Can you please open the door?" I recognized the man's voice. I've heard that same man's voice screaming at his wife several times. I opened the door, and a flash of lightning made me see his face. The dude was literally sweating. I could tell from his face that something serious had happened. I asked in a worried voice, "What happened?" The man replied with, "My wife isn't feeling well, and I need to get some medicine for her. I can't leave my dog alone in the house. Is there any chance you could keep an eye on him until I come back?" I thought for a second, but the man wasn't asking much, so I couldn't say no. I agreed, and the man brought in his dog. It was honestly a really cute dog, but I don't know why the dog was acting strange. Every time the man tried to grab the dog, it kept straying away from him. I was confused. Seeing a pet acting against his owner was not a common occurrence. It was quite evident that for some reason the dog didn't like that man. I took the dog inside and locked the door. I watched the man driving away in his car. What worried me most was that he left his sick wife alone, but was insanely concerned about the dog, even though the dog hates him. I didn't think much of it, and got busy cooking dinner again. The storm was growing heavier and louder. I guessed there must have been a huge short circuit, which is why the entire area had lost its power. I finished my dinner, and even gave the dog some food to eat. Now, my bedroom window is faced towards the bedroom window of that man and his wife. I took the candle upstairs and stood near the window. Even though the house was in complete darkness, the flashes of lightning were showing the bedroom in glimpses. I could see their bed, and that someone was lying on it. I thought it was his wife, and was probably just sleeping. My sense of curiosity has always been quite low, so I just went to bed and gave the dog a place to sleep beside it. I don't exactly remember what time it was, but I woke up hearing a strange sound. I got up on my bed and went to the window, and that's when I saw two people standing in the bedroom of my neighboring house. The storm had stopped by now, but the power hadn't come back on yet. With the sound of voices, I figured it was a man and a woman. I realized the man had come back, and it must have been him and his wife. I looked at the clock and saw it was 10 p.m. I was leaving early the next day to meet my boyfriend. That's what we planned that evening, so I thought it would be easier if I just returned the dog right then. I was about to go wake up the dog, just when I saw something weird happen in the couple's bedroom. The man and the woman were carrying a third person out of the room. I got closer to the glass just to have a clear look, and just then the power came back on, causing the room's lights to flick on. That's when my stomach dropped in fear. I saw the man was indeed the husband, but the woman he was talking to was not his wife. It was a completely unknown woman I'd never seen before, and both of them were carrying a person on their shoulders. I could easily make out that third person was that man's wife. Her throat was slashed badly, but her blood had dried. It was evident from the look of her body that she had been dead for hours now. They didn't see me watching them, but suddenly the dog barked and the man started looking straight at me. Our eyes met, and he rushed out of the house at that moment. I didn't know what to do, but out of fear and panic, I too ran downstairs. I knew this man had realized that I now knew his secret. I knew that if this man caught me, there was no way I was getting out of this situation alive. I was a witness of his wife's dead body. I got to the main door and heard the man banging on it. He said in a loud but panicked voice,
"Ma'am, I just came to get my dog. My friend is here to help me take my wife to the hospital. We might stay there for a while, so I would appreciate it if you opened the door and returned my dog to me."
I was positive whatever he was telling me was a lie. All he wants now is for me to open the door so he can silence me like his wife. I responded, telling him I was going to call the cops and I knew the whole situation. The man banged on my door even harder and replied,
"You're misunderstanding the situation. Why don't you just return my dog and mind your own business? Open this door right now."
I double locked my door so that the man couldn't enter. I then dialed 911 and reported the incident. I was panicking, but as soon as I hung up the call, I heard footsteps running away. Out of my window, I saw the man and the woman hopping in the car and driving away at high speed. When the cops came, they were nowhere to be found, but they did discover the wife's dead body laying on the bedroom floor. The entire story unfolded while the cops investigated the matter. The man was having an affair with the woman I saw that night. They planned to murder his wife and vanish her body without anyone's knowledge. That was why the man made up the story about his wife being sick. He must have wanted to use me as an alibi for going out of his house that night. The man planned to come back during midnight and quietly get rid of his wife's body. He would have then had to come to me to get his dog back, and say something like his wife left him or something. And after generating that idea in my mind, that he had no knowledge of his wife's whereabouts, he would have moved out. In this period of lockdown, people would have hardly gone out of their houses looking for them. The man would have been successful in his plan if he didn't care about his dog so much. My boyfriend finally moved into the house the next day. It was honestly terrifying to stay in the house next door to where your neighbor had been murdered. The cops are still searching for them to this day, and I can only pray that they get caught soon.